I just watched Get Out for the first time this past year and I really enjoyed it. Now Get Out is Jordan Peele's directorial debut and a pretty great first movie as well as just being a pretty great movie in general. Now a great aspect about this film is that it manages to be psychologically terrifying. There are visual sequences and ideas that are presented throughout this film that are conceptually terrifying, which is a great thing to this movie in comparison to other horror movies where they're just so lame and uninspired. Now another great thing that this movie does in comparison to other horror movies is that it manages to have a plot and character that actually makes sense. Now one might watch this movie and think to themselves, why doesn't this character leave this situation? But going throughout the film you can definitely understand why he wouldn't do that, and it's very understandable why. Now another piece of praise that this movie has received is that it manages to have an actually funny comic relief character that isn't annoying and has an actual role within the story. And although I never really found him annoying personally and he does have a role in the story, I can't really say that I found many of his lines to be funny. I remember chuckling at one, but I don't think it was something that's very well done. He wasn't annoying at the end of the day, but he's just more or less something there, not really positive nor negative in my opinion. But something I do consider to be a negative fact that this movie has so many unnecessary jump scares throughout. Like this movie will add in a loud sound effect that isn't present within the film's universe to something in the background that the main character didn't see. It is really a cheap and lame tactic to use in a movie like this. And considering how everything else in this movie is done almost exceptionally well, this one really sticks out. But the good thing about it's only done briefly for a short period of time, so it didn't ruin the movie for me, and I still recommend it to people. But it is definitely something worth mentioning, and I would praise it if it weren't there. The last 15-20 minutes of this movie is incredibly satisfying to see. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's something that you just find yourself rooting for the main character, and it's very satisfying. This movie also does have a really great sense of rewatchability in terms of its social message and commentary, and some clever symbolism throughout that you'll find yourself picking up on. Now overall, this is a very well made first film and I think everyone should watch it. So this one gets an 8 out of 10. And now another movie that I watched was Nope. This is Jordan Peele's third film right after Get Out and Us. I haven't seen Us yet, but I will at some point just to compare it to his other two films. Now in terms of Nope, this one is not as good as Get Out, but still a great film at the end of the day. What I really enjoyed about this movie is how it decided to present and reveal certain information throughout the film. There's a mystery element to it and it's all very engaging to watch. Now just like Get Out, this movie is very surreal in its presentation at certain points, and it does manage to have its own very distinct personality and sense of humor. And in terms comparing this to Get Out, the humor is actually much better in my opinion. The characters had great dynamics with each other, and the movie really has its own sense of style and personality, and it's very funny throughout. This movie also utilizes very interesting editing techniques in terms of aspect ratio and how it changes throughout certain scenes. Sometimes the aspect ratio will change slightly throughout a certain scene to really highlight the intensity and weight and scope of it, and it's very well done and it's very effective in its means. Now the one thing I would criticize about this movie is that the last 15-10 minutes of this movie don't really feel as polished as the rest of it. It feels like he didn't really know how to end the story and it kind of just felt unsatisfying at the end of the day. But that's not a huge deal despite it taking place at the end, and I'll still watch this movie again and I recommend it to people. Now this movie was a really fun, engaging, surreal ride and I recommend it, and this one gets a solid 7 out of 10. And the last movie that I want to talk about in this video was a movie that I saw pretty recently from recording this for the first time, which is 12 Years a Slave, directed by Steve McQueen. Now this is my first Steve McQueen film, and if the rest of his are just this good, I can't wait to get to them because this is a truly amazing emotional experience. This is a truly incredibly powerful film with some truly amazing performances from every single actor involved. There isn't a single weak link throughout this entire film's cast and they all do an amazing job. The main character is able to go through so many variety of emotions within different scenes and it's truly amazing to watch. A great aspect to this movie would be its cinematography. Not only is it aesthetically pleasing and really great at capturing such beautiful landscapes and environments, but the cinematography is very powerful for the film as well. Sometimes the cinematography will linger on a single subject and just really allow you to soak in the atmosphere and the tension of this scene. It really does bring a certain level of realism to this movie. The antagonist within this movie is genuinely very good at being sociopathic and sadistic, and he certainly brings a certain level of evil to this movie. The dialogue in this movie is very well written and very powerful, and the production design of this movie is very well done. Now this was an absolutely amazing movie and I highly recommend it to everyone, and this one gets a 9 out of 10.